listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
What's up? How you doing? And welcome along to the Straight to Video podcast. I'm excited to bring this new episode to you as it's with singer frontman Shaun Phillips of the band LeBrock. Now, a few years ago, I've been slowly diving into this new music scene, which seemed to be gaining a lot of momentum on the internet, which people are referring to as synthwave. Early examples of this breaking through into the mainstream could be heard with like the popularity of the Drive movie soundtrack and obviously the Stranger Things explosion, along with the theme tune from the great film Turbo Kid, if you've seen that. All this music had this great throwback sound to the synth-style anthems of the 80s, but with a fresh modern production. I'd also heard about the band Gunship through Spike, our drummer in TCC, and it seemed like a lot was going on. This was sort of a new style of melodic rock, and I was really enjoying what I was hearing. Then along come LeBrock. While some of the other bands and projects had tiptoed with a bit of a rock style at times, here's this duo from Peterborough who totally deliver the goods with huge choruses and a great guitar sound bolted to this wall of keyboards and synths. LeBrock are singer Shaun Phillips, who is on today's show, along with his bandmate Michael Meadows, who handles the guitars, synths and programming. And every time I hear they have a new song ready to drop, I get genuinely excited to hear what they're going to do next. And the new single Heartstrings, which was recently released, went above and beyond. This is from their upcoming new album Fuse, which by the time you hear this, you should be able to pre-order from their Bandcamp page, which is simply lebrock.bandcamp.com, along with all their previous releases too. Before we get to my chat with Shaun, I want to rep the mighty Dead Skull Coffee, as always, and thank them for teaming up with this show. For you listeners out there, you can get 15% off your order of their awesome ground or full bean coffee, and know that you're supporting a great new indie business with a true rock and roll attitude. Simply head on over to deadskullcoffee.co.uk, fill your shopping basket, don't forget to head to their merch store too, and then add the promo code STV on checkout to get the 15% off. Alternatively, if you're listening to the show at stvpod.com, then just click on the Dead Skull logo in our banner, which will take you to their site, and the discount will be automatically applied. Nice and easy stuff. So let's dive into my chat with LeBrock frontman Shaun Phillips. I really enjoyed connecting with Shaun and talking about his musical journey so far. He's been on quite the trip already through various bands close to breaking big, spending some time in the USA, but it all led to the formation of LeBrock, who are certainly on a great course to success with a huge fan base within the synthwave scene, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this talk and give them a listen too. Hope you like this. Thanks for listening, and let's hear my chat with Shaun Phillips of LeBrock. As the response for the single been? It's awesome, by the way. I was like, holy shit, they're just getting better.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of a wall of noise, which is kind of our signature tune now, I think, just power. That's kind of what that song is. But as soon as Michael sent it to me, because he does all, basically just writes a song, bashes it over, and now it looks like, yeah, that's kind of what people expect. But I think it's gone down really well.
Sweet. Are you born and raised in Peterborough? Is that where you've always kind of grown up?
In the area, more like Lincolnshire, the Fens, the Yellow Bellies.
Right. I've not heard that term before.
Yeah, that's what you used to call it, Lincolnshire Yellow Bellies. I don't know, just because we roll around in grass or something. But yeah, and then Peterborough's the nearest big city, you see, so it was inevitable I'd end up over here, I guess.
Yeah, I always say when people say, where are you from? I always say either Nottingham or Derby, because that's usually the easiest point of reference.
Yeah. Peterborough's getting a university this year, though, so could actually be on the map. And they're in the championship, the football team, so it's all going well.
So did I read that acting and theatre was like an early passion for you or something you was toying with?
When I was at a young age, yeah, I did a lot of theatre and stuff like that. Nothing like major. I did try acting, but because of where I'm from and kind of the logistics of doing that in like the early 2000s, it was very hard because my parents not really able to help me in any way. So I used to just get the train to London like every weekend when I was like 17, 18.
Oh, wow. How was that? That must have been pretty huge. Was that intimidating or anything?
Yeah, for where I'm from and stuff like that, because obviously there's only one train in and out where I used to live. So, yeah, but if you want to do something, you've got to take some risks, I guess. And that's what I tried, but it was just too hard in the end.
Was that for like theatre parts or like small acting parts in productions?
The time when I was doing it was when things like Trigger Happy TV and stuff like that was on. So they're just looking for young people who just do anything really. So I did a lot of things like that. But yeah, I just found it quite hard. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on television or film or whatever, but it was just really hard work and cost way too much, more than what my family could even dream of affording. So yeah, it just put an end to that. But then music came in around that time, I guess 97, something like that. And yeah, music was just banging back then. So
once music comes in, it becomes all consuming, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's still theatre, really, in a way. I think it's all goes the same. Obviously, one route's maybe a bit harder than the other, but obviously music's pretty hard as well. So
definitely. You're sitting there with a Halloween t-shirt on, but I know you're a big horror fan as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see you Chucky in the background. Yeah, it's, I've just finished my room, actually, because I've just moved house. You can't see it because it's all in front of me. But I've just got all my favourite posters, Nightmare on Elm Street, Blade Runner, and all that, and all my horror toys are all just behind. I've got a little Chucky just there, actually. Yeah, massive horror fan. I've got so many DVDs. My wife doesn't let me play them anymore, but I'm not getting rid of them.
What was your introduction?
When I was younger, kind of a weird story. When I was younger, I got like a form of meningitis. And I was off school for ages, but my mum worked nights, so she liked horror movies. She used to video the TV, like late night TV. She used to get home at 8 a.m. She'd just play whatever she wanted, even if I was there. So yeah, it was all the zombie movies, really. Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, sorry, being the main one. But yeah, lots of stuff like that.
I guess that'd be before like the big zombie boom as well. I always found it weird that how big zombie movies became in the last, 10, 15 years or so. There never used to be many, let's say, American zombie movies. You had the George Romero ones and
big ones.
Yeah, and Return of the Living Dead, the comedic ones. But there wasn't really many other massive, let's say, big budget American ones.
More like Italian kind of directors and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, they were good enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, they put them out and you're like, you're not going to get much better than Dawn of the Dead, really.
What did you think of the remake? I thought that is one remake that does hold up.
Yeah, it's scary, for that. It's scarier than Dawn of the Dead, but I think Dawn of the Dead was different. It was given a message, It was like metaphorical as well as pretty scary. But the remake, I remember when that was. That was like 90s, was it?
It'd probably be scary about how long ago it was. It was one of the first big remake movies. So it's probably early 2000s, I would imagine. Yeah. But I thought it was great.
But Land of the Dead, I think, is better than Day of the Dead. I really like Land of the Dead. Just Dennis Hopper's in it as well, which is a plus.
Always good value when Dennis Hopper's in something. What's the new one that's coming out on Netflix? Is it Army of the Dead?
Yeah, it just looks like it just looks like a lot of neon lights and stuff like that. It looks a bit cheesy to me. Big guys with guns fighting zombies. You want to see the actual horror is they don't have guns. You get the idea. Like, if you got a load of guns, you probably could get out of it. You know what I mean? When you're trapped and there's no escape, it's more of a horror that way.
Are you from the video shop era?
Oh, yeah. We had a Video World. Still got loads of DVDs from there, the ex-rental ones or whatever. I used to just buy anything they had.
I always kind of ask people, was there a film which was like your go-to film, which you thought was huge and amazing and everybody knew about, but when you mention it now, no one's got a fucking clue what you're on about?
No, I don't think there was one. I think things like Dragnet, stuff like that, no one knows that. Like comedy, that kind of comedy. I really did like Dan Aykroyd. But no, not really. We had lots. Nightmare on Elm Street. I used to get my dad to go in and he didn't care. He didn't know what he was getting anyway. I just said, just keep this for me. It's just, it's a kids one. It's all right.
They kind of became a bit kids films.
Yeah, by the end.
Which is your go-to in the Nightmare on Elm Street? That was my big, if I had to pick a horror, franchise, Freddy Krueger stuff's always been mine.
Oh, yeah. I think barring Freddy's Dead, didn't really like that one.
That's where I bailed.
Up to Dream Child, I think, is really good.
I think that's a much underrated one. I rewatched it a few years ago. I was like, actually, this is better than I remember.
And the New Nightmare, Wes Craven New Nightmare, good idea. I like the idea.
Well, that was kind of like a precursor to Scream, wasn't it? It's where he put the feelers out for that and see if it worked. And I thought that was genius, really. New Nightmare holds up, other than I think the kid actor is one of the most irritating kids. And I only recently found out he's the kid from Pet Sematary as well.
Is it? Oh, I'm a definite big Stephen King fan, so Pet Sematary, yeah. I'm just about to reread that again.
I've always struggled with his books.
Really? I get angry with the movies after I've read the book, but some of them, like Misery is just perfect.
Did you see Gerald's Game a couple of years ago on Netflix?
No. That's one I haven't read, actually.
That was superb, that film was.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good. Because Stephen King's movie adaptations are always a bit, are they going to work? Are they going to not?
Yeah. I think Pet Sematary, the first one, second one, just to make any sense to me. It was just a waste of time, waste of effort, but there you go.
The LeBrock sound, which you guys have got in your early videos, really show a passion for 80s movie soundtracks. Do you have like some go-to movie soundtracks? I know I've got a couple.
Yeah, some of the big ones for me, Mannequin. That's what I used to watch that a lot with my mum when I was younger, with Starship, Footloose as well.
Yeah, I've got two go-tos, which I think are the ultimate 80s soundtracks, which are Rocky IV and Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun, Playing with the Boys, very good track. The extended one is really good as well.
Really? I've not seen that, yeah?
Yeah, I played it on the synthwave stuff I do on Friday nights when I'm allowed to, when I don't get cut off copyright or whatever. The extended version is really good. Yeah, Footloose is a big soundtrack. Breakfast Club has got a great soundtrack. Not my favourite movie, but the soundtrack is just make up for it.
John Hughes used to do just great stuff with the soundtracks. He was really conscious of what worked within the songs. I mean, like Ferris Bueller's got an amazing one, but they never released the soundtrack.
Did they not?
No, they never did an official release for it. I don't know why. There's like dodgy compilation ones out there which you can download, which people have put together. But yeah, for some reason, they never released an official soundtrack for that film, which is strange because it's got some great stuff on it.
Yeah. What other ones is Teen Wolf? The last song in Teen Wolf is like one of my favourites. So Mark's a fan. Win in the End, kind of like an influence for LeBrock, lyric-wise and stuff like that. Positivity and being able to go for it.
Did those soundtracks introduce you into any kind of bands? Because I always say soundtracks are my introduction to hard rock before I got into hard rock.
Not really. Maybe like when Terminator 2 came out, got me more into Guns N' Roses.
I mean, that was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah, that track, I was kind of blown away by that. But really, I did just literally listen to soundtracks, just listening to the soundtrack albums. I've got the Phantasm soundtrack as it plays through the movie.
Was American TV a big thing for you growing up as well? Because you've mentioned you like Twin Peaks.
No, I kind of caught that after it came out originally. I couldn't really get it when I was younger, I guess.
It's tough to get it now.
I had to buy them all, just to get them. They're not cheap. It was more MTV, if I'm honest. My parents got Sky when I was 12. Because it was quite a big thing having a satellite dish or whatever.
Did your world change then once you got MTV?
Yeah. I've got 3 brothers. They're all about the same age as me. So it was hard to keep us all entertained. So I think that was my parents' plan was, let's get Sky.
Sit them down in front of this. That'll keep them busy for a few hours.
Oh, yeah. Sports was a big thing for us growing up. My dad was a football manager and we all played quite a lot. I still do. Well, I try to. But yeah, the MTV came on and we used to have to go to a youth club every Friday night and they had MTV Most Wanted on. I used to love that. It was so messy, but you'd hear songs you'd hear all the new artists on it. Nowadays, obviously, we've got the internet and stuff like that, which does that. But I used to love it, especially like Headbangers Ball as well. That introduced me to a lot of music before it all became Teen Mum and Sweet 16s or whatever.
Was that the point when you kind of started following music seriously as a fan?
Yeah, it was, for me, it was when The Offspring released Smash. Because I'm like a big punk rock fan, I guess. Skate punk, everyone was skating my age. So yeah, I got the Smash album on tape. I think it was my friend Phil Smith he just recorded it and sent it to me and gave it to me, should I say. I just didn't stop listening to it.
Did you get to see them live? Because they toured the UK a couple of times, I think, when they kind of exploded.
I've seen them about 6 or 7 times, actually. Yeah, big fan of all the albums, actually. It's kind of what got me into music because I loved his voice because it didn't sound like anyone else's.
What was the first concert you got to see?
First ever concert. Technically, I was a little bit older to the concerts because of where I lived and not being able to drive or anything. I don't think I went to a proper rock band until I went to Reading 97.
Nice.
Where I lived. There's no buses or anything. So your parents had to take you there, or you've got 3 brothers. It's an absolute nightmare. So when I was 17, I went to Reading Festival and the first band I saw was Rocket from the Crypt. I can't remember who else played that year. I think Garbage, Ash, New Order maybe.
That was kind of in that weird time in the mid-90s where festivals were so mixed.
Oh, they were much better. That festival especially, because it wasn't as big as what it is nowadays.
You used to be able to rock up on the day if you wanted to go to some of them festivals.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a clue. I was 17 and, I think I had my first joint there. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, what is this? It's crazy. It was amazing. I did it every year for 4 years after that.
Yeah.
Carried on going to gigs, stuff like that. Saw some brilliant bands. Rage Against the Machine, I think, were there as well the first year. In their prime, I would say. Yeah, festivals I really do enjoy. That kind of got me into it.
What gave you the push to try to be in a band yourself? Was it just like the logical progression from doing the acting and performing and then seriously getting into music?
I just wanted to. The Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses, that video, I was just like, I want to do that.
Something connects, doesn't it? I want to give that a shot.
Yeah, I've always just a big stage. Live performance was more appealing to me than recording a load of albums. For a start, I wasn't really into songwriting. I just kind of wanted to be in a band. I think that's everyone. That's get very enthusiastic about it. But that was what pushed me. I just wanted to do that.
Have you always gone down the singer route, or did you try guitar or anything like that beforehand?
I tried all of it. Pretty rubbish at all them. I think it's just because I do a lot of stuff. I take on quite a lot, so sometimes I don't put enough effort into certain things. But I think singing for me was something that I could do while doing all these other things, and so it worked out all right.
Who were the people you were looking up to? Was it like The Offspring, and like you say, was Guns N' Roses an influence?
It was at the start, but I think I never really listened to like the older music before. I mean, I think as I've grown older, I've definitely just gone backwards and listened to more things before. I remember things that my mum and dad were listening to, but they're not really music people. So I went back, I was listening to The Doors and stuff, and I like Jim Morrison, like as a singer, just as a person, not someone to look up to, because I don't think you want to really emulate everything that he did, but just the way he did everything I really, really admire. And Danzig as well. I quite like how he just doesn't care.
Just these people with character and like presence.
I think you do have to have, you are acting, you know what I mean? Like, sure, Danzig isn't like that all the time, but he has a persona and he literally lives up to it, lives up to that character.
That's what you expect to see when you go to a gig.
Oh, yeah. Whenever I've seen Danzig, he's always complained about something.
And you had a band called The Ruined. Was that one of your first bands?
I just tried out for loads and loads of bands. Like I said about going to London for acting, I actually went to London just to try out for bands and stuff. I turned up and they thought I was the new bassist. And I was like, all right, yeah, okay, I'll try it. I just said that I could, but then they said, can you sing? Because you're not very good on bass. Then I joined the band because I could sing all right.
What did you do? You actually turned up for an audition?
I was just blagging it. I was just saying I'd do anything.
Yeah.
Just to be in a band, just to be part of something.
Where was you hearing about stuff like that?
Yeah, there was a punk rock gig with NoFX, I think, playing, and some guy just had a T-shirt on saying drummer looking for band. So I just took down the number and then it rang him. Literally as easy as that. The Ruin was when I kind of started songwriting. I joined a couple of bands. One was like a ska band. One was like a fast skate punk band or whatever. But The Ruin was more kind of what I wanted to do, a bit more theatrical, a bit more, tried to be bigger, but it kind of sounded like The Offspring, Misfits, stuff like that. Typo Negative, I guess.
What was the whole scene like around that time?
It was okay. It wasn't very big. Bands wanted to see us because some of the songs were quite catchy. That's what I've always been about, having a hook, But I just don't think we were very good musicians.
Doesn't always matter.
We wanted to be.
Yeah, as long as you're a good band, you don't have to all be good musicians.
Yeah. I think we were together for a long while, did a couple of albums and did okay. That's how I joined my American band, was playing as support for those guys.
So tell us how that whole collaboration came about, because wasn't there a band called Love Equals Death?
Yeah, they were like kind of similar, kind of horror related, like punk rock, a bit softer. They did a tour. I helped them with a couple of gigs and just got to know a couple of the guys. And then their singer left when they got back. And they'd finished an album, but he took all his vocals away. So they asked me to just go and sing the vocals, and I did.
So you actually flew over to do them, or did you record them over here and send the tracks?
No, I flew over.
Well, that must have been a massive deal, though, for you to get that opportunity.
I thought that was it. That was, wow, this is, not everyone gets to go to America, but it was hard work,
So did you fly out there on your own?
Yeah, first time going to America. Yeah, it was all new. Yeah, America's completely different to anywhere I've been in, like Europe and stuff like that. So yeah, for a small town country boy, it was pretty weird.
That's sweet. So what was their whole setup? Did they have like a label over there?
They did have, and then we found out the label only had them because of the singer.
Oh shit, right.
So as soon as he left, they just dropped him and took the name as well. It was kind of a bit of a bummer because I thought I was joining a big band, and then we had to start again, and it was just like starting a band in the UK, just quite a long drive.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. So from like the breakup of Love Equals Death, that's when Good Knives came to be.
Basically, yeah.
So how was that whole discussion? Like, this band's in America, you're in the UK. Did they just kind of figure out some game plan of like, look, we'll tour within this window and record this way?
Luckily, they had everything recorded for that album, like cycle, whatever year or whatever. They had everything laid on, really. So tour-wise, did the US, like the West Coast, because it's a big old place. So it's an expensive thing to do. We did that and did really well, and then did the UK and Europe. Went really well. But yeah, it just kept losing members. And then it just ended up with just me and the guitarist in the end.
How did you find touring in America? Did you enjoy it, like being on the West Coast, all these places you'd seen in films and stuff? Did you do like California and all those places?
Yeah, San Francisco was really good. I love that place. Yeah, really nice, clean. People seemed pretty nice. But yeah, it was quite hard. It's very much similar to the UK, maybe, I would say. But I think just playing the wrong music, basically, I've come to realise. Really enjoyed it, and I thought that was it, but it was too late, basically, I think.
So was it through this band that you made the hookup with the band Dance with the Dead and this whole burgeoning synthwave scene?
I'd always been into like kind of French touch music and stuff like that, like Daft Punk and trance music and that. And then obviously rock music was my thing. But Tony joined Good Knives for a tour, and he showed me Dance with the Dead, their first album, on that tour. I was like, wow, this is mental. I love this. It just blew me away. And I was like, wow, I could do that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there's just two of you as well. God, I don't even have any band arguments, really, do you? Because that's always a big thing when you got five blokes who think completely differently. But yeah, it spurred me to do stuff like that. So I just called my old mate Michael from LeBrock. I knew he was doing movie soundtrack and soundtracks for like commercials for like epic kind of stuff. And I just said, oh, have a listen to this. Do you think you could do something, make your stuff into a song rather than just like a commercial or a part of a soundtrack? And yeah, he did. We had a little play for a little while, and some songs didn't work. And then I think we were just drinking quite a lot of beer one night, and he wrote Call Me. Or he wrote it and sent it to me, but it's very early. We're just doing it in his bedroom, which we still do, in fact, just with better equipment. But everything's done in there. Everything's done in his bedroom still.
So how long had you guys known each other?
Ages. I used to drive his band. He used to play guitar like The Edge, big echoes and delays and all that kind of stuff. He used to love it. He used to love his sound.
So someone who's always been on your radar and you'd always kind of cross paths.
There's a local club there, it's called the Met Lounge. And I used to like DJ there, and he used to go there. And we just used to chat and stuff like that, you know. Same friends. Then we just started doing this. It was very quick.
Was it fun for you to dive back into all your, let's say, your 80s passions when putting together the LeBrock sound and all like the movie compilation videos for the first few singles which you did?
Yeah, totally. I think we really, really, honestly, did not take it very seriously when we wrote the first EP.
That's usually when the good stuff happens, to be fair.
Yeah, I think maybe like annoyingly, so obviously this kind of synthwave stuff can seem kind of cheesy if you don't rein it in a bit, and I don't think we reined it in that first one. And like, they're quite heartfelt, but I think they do stand a little bit above cheesiness, but it's kind of a nod to the 80s rather than jumping on board with it. But honestly, it wasn't serious at all.
That's probably what I say. It's less calculated. You're just being honest and having fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was a lot easier to do it then because we didn't really care as much, if that makes sense. No label or anything like that. But, you know, we got really good feedback when we put Call Me up, because I think New Retrowave took before we even had it mixed or mastered or whatever, they just took the song and put it on, and it got like, I don't know, 500,000 plays.
You were like, what the hell?
And we were like, oh, fucking hell. So we got it mixed properly after that.
But I mean, there's a lot of work went into those videos. I mean, they might just be clips from old films, but you can tell there's a lot of thought gone into them. Is it you or Michael that puts those together?
I think we did those ones mostly together, but I think we kind of stopped doing them after, you know, because you're just nicking someone else's videos, aren't you?
Yeah, but they did work great for that initial introduction, and you could tell there was a lot of work gone into them.
We used to have them live on a projector behind us.
I saw you guys in Nottingham when you played that weird like arcade bar a few years ago.
Oh yeah, can't remember what it's called. It's not there anymore. Like everything, it's been destroyed, gone down the hill. Yeah, that was cool. That was quite an early show as well.
How easy was it for you adapting to like the new stage dynamic of not having a whole group of other musicians surrounding you in, let's say, like the usual live setup? Was that a bit unusual for you?
Oh, it was a relief, if I'm honest.
Yeah?
It did mean it's a bit more hard work. So, you know, I like to fill a stage. I like people to be able to not just focus on the middle. I want them to look everywhere. because Michael has quite a lot to do with the guitars and the keys, so we can't really go around. So it's a bit more exhausting, but at the same time, I'm not falling over bassists or cables. It's brilliant. Don't have to worry about the drummer passing out or something. I've had that before.
Do you feel extra pressure at all, though?
Yeah, obviously there's only 2 focal points. So you do have to be literally, as we were saying about acting earlier, you do have to be in character the whole time. Because, if you don't look into it, people are going to notice because there's only 2 of you.
At what point, what did you feel like something was really catching on? Was it, because you say you had that initial interest from, was it, say, New Retro Wave?
That was just for that song. It wasn't like a record deal or anything like that. Just, I think we sent in a few songs, but they didn't take them. So then they just took that one, luckily. I think, because, it was a bit different to what was out at the time. I think a lot of things were non-vocal. I really like the instrumental stuff, like Dance for the Dead and Daniel Deluxe as well, 80s Stallone. There's so many. I really do like the instrumental stuff. Sometimes I find the vocal stuff can be a bit cheesy if you don't really mean it. I can see through it straight away.
So how was it for you when you're doing like your live shows and you see this younger generation coming out to the shows and loving this almost like revamped classic style?
Yeah, I think we're a lot harder live than maybe we are recorded. I don't think they're that young. I think they're not saying they could be younger. Do you know what I mean? But I think you're talking 25 to upwards, really. But yeah, it's good because obviously they missed it. But I was only young during the 80s. But your ear still hears that stuff, doesn't it? You're still in your head, even if you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. But you might not have been into it at the time.
I think a lot of younger people have perhaps not got as much of a filter as a lot of people my age and stuff, and they just view it on, I like how this sounds.
That should be the way. That's why sometimes we don't really put a lot of pictures of ourselves up, because I think it's good that it's faceless, because people just listening to the music. If we were a bunch of 25-year-old, long-haired units with their shirts off, it might attract even younger people in or whatever, but it's not really telling you what the music's about, is it?
No. There's a great hard rock appeal in your sound. That's what certainly attracted me. Have you seen much crossover from, let's say, older fans of perhaps like AOR music or melodic rock finding LeBrock?
Yeah, we definitely, I think where did we play? Not last tour, but the tour before, there was a couple of guys from America came over to see us. I think they were seeing another band, some thrash band that had been around years or whatever, doing like a tour. Obviously, they got the money to burn, so they just came over there to see a few gigs and a few pubs. But they came to see us as well, and then they came to the rest of the shows as well on the whole tour. So, and they were just AOR. They were like totally AOR melodic rock fans. And they said, well, we heard a couple of songs and we thought we'd check you out. And we're like, this is something else, it's what we want, but it's got something else as well. That makes sense?
No, definitely. One Night was the first song I heard, and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. It feels genuine, feels heartfelt. It's just great songs.
It was literally written as I had an argument with my wife because I was going to record. And I was like, so I just changed the lyrics at the start. I don't want to argue, because that's what I texted that night. And I never got to go to a prom, and nor did she. So it's kind of, it's a prom song, really. I think it was Zane Lowe said, I can't remember what band he was talking about. He says, why is this band good? It's because they mean it. They're not trying to be, Post Malone or whatever. They just mean it. What they're doing, they mean, you can tell. And hopefully that comes across with us as well.
So if you could have your music on any particular soundtrack, if you could slot it in on like the Breakfast Club soundtrack or Footloose, or which one would it be, do you think?
A John Hughes movie, especially on the new album, would definitely work. Heartfelt movie, like about overcoming the odds, that kind of thing. Really, that's what it's all about. Very positive. So yeah, I would say, maybe Footloose would be a good one. But at the same time, some of our harder songs, you could see them in like a Highlander or something. There can only be one. That kind of thing. I don't think Michael doesn't really like the horror element, so we don't really delve with that. I'd love to, but yeah, definitely something a bit of passion and like good conquering evil kind of thing. Yeah.
So what are the plans for the new album? Is there anything you could share as to what? Have you got a timeline or anything?
It's coming out in June for definite, and we've got another track coming out this month now, just as a teaser for the rest of the album, because I think nowadays people do rely on having those songs out rather than just dropping an album.
Seems the way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously being the old guard, I kind of think, you should drop an album, but you look at the figures and you look at what people's listening trends, and it does work just bringing them out bit by bit kind of thing, and then dropping an album with another 5 or 6 tracks on that people can have a listen to as well.
Will you be doing a pre-order or anything for that album?
I believe in May there'll be something like that going on. on. We chat every week to the record label. They're really good, really on the ball now, because they've got quite a few bands. But yeah, it's really good. They really have looked after us and taught us a few things that maybe we didn't want to hear at first. But yeah, I think because obviously they're a record label, they know they're sustaining themselves as a record label, so they must know a little bit.
Things are changing so much all the time now in the music industry.
Yeah, heaps, because of obviously this has probably destroyed half the industry. A lot of bands just rely on live gigs. Like some bands aren't going to sell a new album, are they? Because they're nostalgic or whatever, I don't know. They just play live for big bucks, and now they can't do that.
What's been the response to you guys in the States? Do you get a lot of feedback from America?
That's our biggest market. Obviously, it is a big market there, but it is our biggest one.
And how is that judged? Is that just judged through Spotify, or do you get like feedback messages and stuff like that?
Based on Spotify and merchandise sales, vinyl sales, everything's in America, really, which is cool. The UK is the second one, and then I think it's Russia, because Russia's on there now. I think that helps playing with Dance with the Dead, because they're absolutely huge in Russia. So yeah, that kind of thing. But yeah, especially in Scandinavia as well, which is surprising.
That's the whole melodic rock thing kicking in, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And there's a lot of good, I don't know what you call it, like space disco bands in Scandinavia I listen to quite a lot. So maybe it's just a crossover with that, and it really seems to be working.
It'd be great for you guys to tour America. That'd be a lot less stress-free, just the two of you going over, and maybe like a tour manager. It'd be nice and easy. Yeah,
that would be... I think our record label thinking about doing something, but they don't really get involved in touring. They just don't want to, basically. But I think on this next one, because we do tour more than any of their other artists, hopefully they get on board and we can do something big, do something special.
Shaun, thanks ever so much, mate. I've loved finally getting to connect with you and chat about the band, because I've been a fan for a few years now, so it's great to see things still going so well, and the new single sounding extra awesome.
Thank you. No, it's really good. We've finally got there. Have another chat sometime.
Sounding great, right? That new LeBrock single is one of the coolest tunes I've heard in a long time and really ticks all the boxes for me. Thanks to Shaun Phillips of LeBrock for chatting with me here on the Straight to Video podcast. I can't wait for their new album Fuse to be released, and you can get your copy from the band's Bandcamp page, which is lebrock.bandcamp.com. Here you will find links to all their social media pages too, so please hook up on there as well. Cheers for the continued support of this little show as we cruise to the mighty episode 100, which will be with us before you know it. All previous chats can be found at stvpod.com, along with all the straight to video music, some pop videos, and a merch page too. I've got some other plans in the pipeline soon to get you even more involved in the show, which I'm very excited to share over the coming months, so please keep in touch. But until we chat again, thanks for listening, and it really means a lot, and I look forward to doing it all again soon.